It's time for the Magic the Gathering penny stock conversation because we're going to look at underrated Magic the Gathering cards for less than 50 cents. I'd like to start the conversation off with Opposition, one of my favorite enchantments in the game. A blue 2 generic. Tap an untapped creature you control to tap target artifact, creature, or land. In some way, this effectively gets to trade one of your creatures, like temporarily tap it down for taps down something else. You have a problem with someone's Guy's Cradle, you just tap it down. You have a problem with, I don't know, somebody's Eldrazi, you tap it down. You got a problem with one of their artifacts, you tap it down. You tap down their Soul Ring at their upkeep. I don't know why this card doesn't see more play. Now, the original version is like $5, but if you get the 7th edition version, it's like 35 cents. And it combos so well. By the way, like Static Orb, if Static Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than 2 permanents during their untap steps. Same thing with Winter Orb. It's a 2-mana artifact. As long as Winter Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than 1 land during their untap steps. What you do is you use Opposition, the creatures, to tap down these artifacts at the end of your opponent's turn before it's your turn. Then you get to untap everything. It's an amazing that's a classic combo that used to be used with Opposition. Fantastic in token decks. The token generator is out there. You want to know what to do with your tokens? You don't have to just buff everything up. You can just slam an Opposition and lock out your opponent's entire board. If you have 100 tokens and you don't know what to do with it, tap down all their lands and all their creatures every turn and then eventually smack them for victory. So anyway, Opposition, this one's like $4.50, but this one, hold on, that one's not even. Where was this one? There we go. 7th edition. This one is or am I wrong? Hold on. Dominaria Remastered. Yeah. This thing came out again. All right, they reprinted this card. Whew. So some of those older versions are still very expensive. The remastered versions are actually quite cheap. Akira says, I don't even play Nikachu. I don't even play MTG. Nikachu is just fun to watch. All right, welcome. And whenever you have time, go pick up MTG Arena. It's completely free and available on Android, Windows, iOS, Mac OS. It's available everywhere. All right, let's get your Seal of Doom. Seal of Doom. What are we going to do with Seal of Doom? All the seals are pretty good, aren't they? All right, we got a black 2 generic enchantment. Sacrifice Seal of Doom. Destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. The great thing about all the seals is if you have nothing to do with your mana, you just empty it into this enchantment on the battlefield. And they got to think twice about even doing anything to you. You got to probably hold back their better creatures until somebody else exhausts the Seal of Doom. So absolutely, Seal of Doom. I can't remember. And you said most of the seals are great. Actually, some still see a lot of play. Was it Seal of Fire, I think? I can't remember. I think this is a 93, not 93, a pre-modern card in like the burn decks. So for anyone who likes to play pre-modern out there, which is like playing standard of 20 years ago. That's how pre-modern works as far as I'm concerned. It's basically shock, but you don't have to shock immediately. Just leave it on the battlefield, shock when you want to shock. Tommy Siddons, why no one plays Reap? What's going on with Reap and EDH? Beats me. There's a lot of Reap. Oh God. I hate looking up cards with a singular word, and that just brings me up every single card with that word in it. Anyway, Reap. Green 1 generic instant. Return any number of target cards from your graveyard to your hand. You cannot choose more cards than the number of black permanents target opponent controls. So this could be a huge card draw, but your opponent, you need at least one of your opponents to be playing black. That's the only downside of this card. I have to admit, I didn't even know this existed. So if you're in a play group, it's not even that big of a deal to like throw into your deck. And Painter is legal, right? Painter Servant, you just play Painter Servant, name black, Reap, get everything. Because that's basically the 2-card combo over there. Oh, but it's like Tommy, it's like $1. Okay, we're going to it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So this is how it works. It might be $1 at near mint, but in heavily played, it's 50 cents. So it qualifies. It's okay. So if it goes a little bit over 50 cents, don't worry. In heavily played damage condition, we'll get it down to 50 cents. It's possible. It can be done. It can be done. All right, we got Blake. Blake with the $5 super chat. Dragon Throne of Tarkir. Don't know why it doesn't see play. Basically, a budget crater hoof. Dragon Throne of Tarkir. The budget crater hoof, you say. All right, 4 mana, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has defender and pay 2. Tap. Other creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the creature's power. Oh, it's other creatures you control. It's not the creature itself either, though. So one benefit with the crater hoof is it's a gigantic creature by itself. It's got haste. It buffs everyone up and it goes swing and attack. So this one is like similar. It's not bad. I mean, it's a repeated crater hoof. You're right. I mean, if someone can deal with the crater hoof on one turn, they have to deal with this every single turn. And like, you don't care that the equipped creature is going to have defender because you're tapping it anyway to get the effect. So, you know, what big deal. Equip 3, pay 2, tap. Interesting card. Interesting card I didn't even know existed. All right, what do we have next? Paul says the seals were great with Skull of Orm back in the day. Okay, Bulky. Domineering Will. Always love to troll my opponents with this. Domineering Will. Blue 3 generic instant. Target player gains control of up to 3 target non-attacking creatures until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They block this turn if able. Gotta wrap my head around this. Target player gains control up to 3 target non-attacking creatures until end of turn. Alright, so you like give them somebody else's creatures, untap those creatures. They block this turn if able. So you like give somebody else someone's creatures that might have attacked. You get to block someone else's attackers. That's neat. It's almost like removal. And they're gonna want to block because they're probably being attacked. What a bizarre card. Domineering Will is a commander all-star. I agree. I agree. Very political looking card. Vitron Espada. So yeah, commander player. Vanishing. Oh, you're all commander players. How many modern players are left here? How many modern players are still watching this show? What was it again? It was just Vanishing. The Vanishing. Okay, we got a blue aura. Blue. Enchanted creature phases out. What? Careless like a child with fire, so was I with time. I like that flavor text. They don't make flavor text like that anymore. Now flavor text is so AI generated, in my opinion. It's like flavor text artists or writers. They're like, AI generation exists, and they went all in on it. It sounds so similar to actual AI generated flavor texts. What do you do with this though? So you basically... Oh, do we not have music? Oh, there's no music? No! Hold on. I shared a new sound effect and everything. Alright, we got the music back. And it's a good day with music because of the, I got the shop music. Oh, well. You missed 8 minutes of shop music. Anyway, I have no idea how you use this card. I guess it's a means of protecting the creature for forever. You want to kill my creature? Well, I'm sorry. I phase out. Ta-da! Do a little Bilbo Baggins, if you know what I mean. For anyone who's actually seen Lord of the Rings. You get it? Bilbo did this like trick where he disappeared on stage on his birthday, just for those who didn't know. So anyway, now you're in on the joke. Now you're in on the joke. All right, moving on. We got Blake Mamba. Mob Rule. What does Mob Rule do? We got a red 4 generic sorcery. Choose one. Gain control of all creatures with power 4 or greater until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain haste until end of turn. So this is just like what the super version of those red cards that steal your opponent's creatures. You untap and attack. Then you could also choose gain control of all creatures with power 3 or less until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain haste until end of turn. And of course, if you have a sack outlet, you just sack them all. They all go straight to the garbage after that. Straight to the dumpster. All right, we got J Conception with Identity Crisis. Black, black, white, white, 2 generic for a sorcery. Remove all cards in target player's hand and graveyard from the game. Holy crap! It costs a lot of mana. But you know what? I mean, in Commander, it's not inconceivable that you're gonna wipe someone's super hand. There are points in the game wherein someone will have, what's that land called? Reliquary Tower to prevent them from discarding. They'll draw like a million cards, and they'll think they're safe, but then you go like, okay, Identity Crisis. Just because you go into the late game in Commander does not mean you're empty-handed. It does in competitive Magic, but in Commander Magic, oh my god. And you're gonna take their graveyard too? Relentless. And we all know the graveyard is now an extension of people's hand these days. Okay, so... Oh, I did Vitron Espada. Okay, we go next to David. Okay, you guys hear the sound effect? We've got a new sound effect here. Precursor Golem. Precursor. Oh, this guy. Okay, 5 mana for a 3/3. It wasn't this supposed to be the first golem you guys told me the other day? I don't know if I believe that. Okay, when Precursor Golem enters the battlefield, put 2 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature tokens onto the battlefield. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single golem, that player copies that spell for each other golem that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those golems. Also, thanks to golems, I keep calling constructs golems. It took like 2 years for me to separate what's a golem and what's a construct, because they sort of feel like the same damn thing to me. They feel like the same thing. So that's value. That is value. What is this? 5 mana for 9 power? And his battlefield put 2. Yeah, that's 9. That's a lot of power. I did a super chat, but not showing up. David. No, we're doing yours. Don't worry, we're doing yours. Don't worry, we got it. We did it. It's good? Are we good, David? I just don't get to them immediately. I do a little switch. You know, you do it. We do a super chat. We do one from outside the super chats. Like we're gonna do Coulter right now. Familiar ground. But I'll get to all the super chats, just one after another. All right, we got green 2 generic enchantment. Each creature you control can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So basically, if you got a big creature, their biggest creature is the best one, has the best chance of blocking it, or it's all over. No gang blocking my creatures around here. That might also be very important if you have some sort of like first strike death touch thing going on. I don't know. King Ginger says sometimes super chats don't show on the live chat. You have to refresh the chat to see. Okay, don't worry, but I see everything. I got it all. Thanks for clarifying. I don't know, where is this useful? I think this is just useful if you're playing a deck that's with a lot of chunky creatures, a lot of big buffy chonkers, playing big stompy, so no one is allowed to gang block you. And also a trample. So with great trample comes great familiar ground. That's a combo. All right, next up we got Abe. Abe, thank you very much for your super chat. Mark of Eviction. 1 mana for repeated bounce. We'll see about that. Okay, 1 blue, it's an aura, enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, return enchanted creature and all auras attached to that creature to their owner's hands. Oh, so, but it's only at your upkeep. So you pay a blue on somebody's creature. It could be your creature, it could be somebody else's. But then when it comes back around to your turn, you return that creature and the Mark of Eviction back to your hand to replay it. I didn't even know this card existed. I don't know how effectively you use it, though, because you do have to spend it on your turn, and then you have to wait a turn. But, like, whatever. Like, maybe the creature's not going to attack or anything, and then you get to Mark of Eviction over and over and over again. All right, pretty neat card. Menace creature. Oh, yeah, the Menace. I totally forgot. I was going to say Trample and Menace. So, I mean, if someone has Familiar Ground out, you have Menace creatures. Yeah, the creatures become unblockable. But then why not just play unblockable creatures? Anyway, Familiar Ground had a little bit more interaction than I thought about that. A little bit more interaction than I thought. Okay, Toilet Duck says, fun thing to do. Keep using Mark of Eviction on your own creature to keep activating ETB abilities. That's a combo too. So play it on your opponent's creatures, play it on your own creatures. As long as you have enough mana to keep spewing these damn things out over and over again. All right, next up, we've got, let's take this one for the Etherize. I know someone who is, like, super high on this type of card. I don't know. I think it's a bit janky, but whatever. I guess when it blows someone out, it blows them out really hard. A blue 3 generic instant. Return all attacking creatures to their owner's hands. I think this card is just jank. Like, you need someone to be attacking with basically everything to really hit them hard. If they're just attacking with like 1 or 2, then it's like not a big deal. But then, like, when they do attack, when they do go all out, when they go all in, it's all over. You etherize their entire board back to their hand, and they're so devastated. They're only going to put like 1 or 2 creatures back, and they're like basically defenseless to the next person, who gets to the next person up. So you could just attack them. They're basically defenseless. They're going to only have like 1 or 2 creatures to defend. But anyway, etherize. All right, next up we got King Ginger. Thank you very much for the super chat. Linus Cryptozoologist, Clues Commander. Also, this card might have predicted Logan Paul's Crypto Zoo, right? All right, we got a blue-green 1/2 Snake Elf Scout. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. This is a wow, this card is like a 24-cent rare. Tap, sacrifice X clues. Target opponent reveals the top X cards of their library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield under your control. That player puts the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. It almost feels like a Crypto Zoo card, right? Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you investigate, and you can crack that investigation for a new card. I guess it doesn't evolve any of your animals, though. For anyone who's familiar with the Logan Paul crypto thing. Okay, yes, very, very neat card. All right, next up, let's get from the main page. We have Argentina with Viashino Heretic. What? The Viashinos. Going on here. Okay, red 2, this is an old one. Red 2 generic for a 1/3 Viashino. Red 1 generic, tap, destroy target artifact. Viashino Heretic deals to that artifact's controller damage equal to the artifact's total casting cost. That's pretty sweet. So it's like it's like that monkey that blows up artifacts, but this destroys artifacts and deals damage to the opponent. And it's got a little bit of toughness. It can survive some shocks. It can survive some pings, so you can't kill it off so easily. I think it's accurately costed. Yeah, pretty cool card. Blows up them artifacts. The dude is really cool. I didn't even know that. I've never heard of this card. This is what happens when you look up 50-cent cards. Next up, we got Blake Mamba, champion of Lamholtz. Green, 1 generic, 1/1 human warrior. Creatures with power less than champion of Lambolt's power can't block creatures you control. So creatures with power less than, so if a 0 power creature can't block this. Got it. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of Lambolt. So basically a Champion of the Parish. But as it gets bigger, as she gets bigger, she can't be blocked. I don't understand I don't understand the flavor of that. You get larger, and somehow you are more unblockable. This is like the opposite of like hobbits, where as they are smaller, they're easier to like wiggle through things and stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's a pretty neat card. Next up, we are gonna look at King Ginger's Reality Acid in a Blink deck. Somehow I feel, King Ginger, you have a million decks. I just have that idea. You're like one of those people who has like 40 or 50 different commander decks. Blue 2 generic aura, enchant permanent with vanishing 3. This aura enters the battlefield with 3 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from it. When the last is removed, sacrifice it. Okay, when Reality Acid leaves play, enchanted permanent's controller sacrifices it. What? So hold on, this is just like a weird removal spell. And it's like, it's gonna get removed in 3 turns. I don't know who wants this card. And you said you want it in a Blink deck. Oh, so you blink the aura when it leaves the battlefield and enchant. Oh, I get it. I see. You found a way. It's one of those build-around cards. Play Reality Acid. Blink the Reality Acid. All right, goodbye, creature. Oh, by the way, Reality Acid comes back. I'm going to put it on your card now. Only 50 decks. So, Toads, you have 100? 22 decks? All right, well, I overshot it a little bit. I'm sure someone out there has 50 decks. I've seen the pictures on Twitter. People show, like, their whole dresser or their, like shelves of decks. I'm just counting these things. Like, all right, there's 5 going across. There's 3 going down per block of shelf. You've got, like, 8 different sections of the shelf filled up. Yeah. Hits, permanent hits. Oh, yeah, it's enchant permanents. You can hit the lands. Lands, artifacts, enchantments, creatures, planeswalkers. It does it all. I assume you then choose a new target after blinking the aura. Oh, of course. Absolutely. All right, what do we got next here? Rurik Thar. Very simple one. Yeah, Rurik Thar the Unbowed. Green, red, 4 generic for a 6/6 Vigilant Reacher. Rurik Thar attacks each combat if able, but if a player casts a non-creature spell, right, you want to play Brainstorm or Treasure Cruise or, I don't know, Bribery? Well, it's good. Then Rurik Thar deals 6 damage to you. 6 whole damage. That thing's broken. Yeah, why doesn't anyone play more of this card? You want to play Artifacts? You want to play Soul Ring and Mana Vault and Mana Crypt? I mean, you got to get this guy out first, but I mean, hey, the game is still afoot. And it's going to cost you, when in Commander you have 40 life, you're probably at 30, you get hit for 6. That's like, it's a huge chunk of life. That's a huge percentage. Yeah, wild card. I totally forgot this card existed. Deserves more love than it actually gets. Moving on with Alpha Nerd. Dina, Soul Steeper. Green, a black, 1/3 Dryad Druid. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Ah, it's one of those combo cards. Pay 1, sacrifice another creature. Dina, Soul Steeper gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. Sack away. I think you mostly want this for the combo potential. It is a sack outlet. I mean, hey, sometimes you need to sacrifice creatures to enable some other Undying, Persist triggers. Maybe you got to get that creature in the graveyard for synergy. So you got that going for there. And of course, she can be your commander. She can be the commander. Mana Maze from Diego. What the hell is that? Never heard of that one before. Okay, Mana Maze, blue 1 generic. Players can't play spells that share a color with the spell last played this turn. What the hell does that mean? Players can't play spells that share a color with a spell played last turn. Oh, wait a minute! So, like, if I'm a blue player, and there's no one blue to my right, and I play blue spells, then the player to my left is, like, locked out of the game? Players can't play spells that share a color with a spell played last turn. That is wild. So you have to be able to play stuff at instant speed. But it also means me too. So if I play a blue spell on my turn, I can't play blue. I can't play counter spells on my opponent's next turn. That is a wild, wild card. Never heard of it. I'm surprised that this... Oh, wait a minute. This thing's disqualified. Okay, this is a very interesting card, but it's way above 50 cents. In the World Champion, I mean, if you want to play with the proxy, it's like 50 cents in damage condition. Okay, interesting card either way. Interesting, very, very interesting card. Look, most people, like, I think a lot of you just learned this card even existed. It's only the same turn. Players can't play spells that shared a color with the spell last played. Oh, last played this turn, so you can only play 1 blue card at a time. So players can't play spells that share a color with the spell. So, okay, everyone can play... okay, I misinterpreted that card. Here it comes in the comment section. It's like, Nikachu, you don't read the cards. You don't read the cards. Wait, look, I'm trying to read the cards. Reading and interpreting are 2 different things. I read it properly. I didn't interpret it right. So, okay, so everyone can play every color, but whoever plays a color first wins. So if I play my blue spell at upkeep, or if I play a blue spell on someone else's upkeep, they can't play blue spells for the rest of the turn. Same thing with red, green, white, and black. Yeah, you sort of have to rotate the color. So everyone gets to play one color per turn. But that means you can play... So you put this in mostly an artifact deck. You play this as in an Urza artifact deck and just steamroll them because the... And Eldrazi's. That would work. That would work. Okay, we figured out how this card can work. You can play a blue spell, then a green spell, then a blue spell. It just can't be 2 blue spells back to back. Last play. Oh, is that how it works? So we have to so we can't... With that, now... How does this card work? I shouldn't even be spending so much time on this card because it's disqualified. Okay, does not affect the first spell cast each turn. If a spell's color was changed while on the stack, use the color at the time it was when you started announcement, not as it currently is on the stack or as it was at the time it resolved. You know what? That didn't clear up anything at all. I need a judge. I need a judge, please. This card makes no damn sense to me now. It looks useful, though. It looks useful. Players can't play spells that share a color with the spell last played. So it has to be very last played, so you just rotate through all the colors. Okay. I got it. I got it, and I sort of don't got it. But, you know, I got it. Yo, little Ted. Thank you so much for the super chat. Revel Arc. Is it Revil Arc? This used to be part of a combo with Mirror Entity and Body Double. It used to also be a combo with, I think... Pod? Birthing Pod, I think. Anyway, white, 4 generic, 4/3 flyer. Good value. Alright, you have a decent body on a flyer. When it leaves the battlefield, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is great value. And you can evoke it for 6 mana. And you'd want to do it. It costs more mana to evoke it than actually cast it, but you'd want to do that because it would die instantly and you would get the 2 creature cards that you wanted. Very, very good card. Also used to see competitive play. Used to see a lot of competitive play. Now these days, not at all. Joel says, play a Wooburg spell, then no one can cast a colored spell. That's true. True story. Good for the Wooburg deck. All right. We found out how to break this card. We figured it out. We figured it out. Yeah, you need a PhD to understand this game. Or you need to be very good friends with a level 2 or higher judge. Level 2, people. It's level 2 or nothing. Paul Wallace. Nullifies counters if you're blue. Okay, hold on. What is it? Nullifies? Nullifier? Oh, I think you're making a comment. I thought you were talking about a card. GWJ, Inscription of Abundance. Oh yeah, this card, green, 1 generic, instant with a kicker of green, 2 generic. Choose one. If the spell is kicked, choose any number instead. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature. Or target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures they control. Or target creature you control fights another target creature you don't control. Should I have a fight sound effect around here? Do I have a fight sound effect? It's the closest I got here. No, I don't got one. I'm gonna figure something out. I've got all the super. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the super chats. I'm rotating, people. Because if it was only pay to win with super chats, a lot of you people would leave. I gotta do a little bit of both at the same time. If you super chat, I promise I'll get to your super chat. I promise. It's gonna happen. Alright, anyway, yeah, neat card. And it is definitely below 50 cents. And then now next, we've got, Jitsuku. Thank you very much for your super chat. Ulash? How do I pronounce this? Ulashed. The Hate Seed with Death Touch or Infect. Okay, we got a green, red, 2 generics, 0/0 Helion Hydra. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other red creature you control, and a +1/+1 counter on it for each other green creature you control. Pay 1, remove a counter from it, choose 1, deals 1 damage to target creature, or create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. It reminds me of Walking Ballista, really. So it's like Walking Ballista, but if you blink it, because this is an enter the battlefield, not as you cast, so if you blink it, you can get more counters on this thing. And you could also just basically empty this thing, create a bunch of sapling creature tokens. And I'm sure there's some synergy with that. I'm sure there's some synergy where you remove all the counters, you get all the tokens, and maybe you can like sack it to put more counters on this thing. Anyway, it looks like a super ballista from this perspective. All right, we're gonna look at more crazy 50-cent cards, but you know where you can buy them from? That's right, today's sponsor, FusionGamingOnline.com. Get all your 50-cent cards. Also, if you can find some 50-cent cards in revised, they could turn it into 50%, subtract 15%. That's like 6 cents off. 44 cents when you buy at FusionGamingOnline.com. Don't forget to use, however, coupon code Nikachu at checkout for an additional 5% off, and it also supports the channel. Saves you money and helps me. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place for renting Magic cards online. If you love value, you want to play on a budget, you could get their lowest tier and then borrow as many budget decks as you want. Play Pauper to your heart's content. Basically have the entire Pauper inventory, the whole metagame in your pocket when you are renting with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_PG2. All right, now back to the cheapo cards. Back to cheapo cards. Okay, I gotta get through more of these super chats. A lot of them super chats over here. Next up will be Blake Mamba. Warstorm Surge. Such a good card. Way more versatile than it looks at first glance. Tell me about it. Red 5 generic enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Reminds me of, isn't this like Pandemonium? Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, that creature's controller may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature or player of his or her choice. So that's anybody though. Anyone has access to Pandemonium. So Warstorm Surge is when it's under your control. So this is a one-sided Pandemonium, and it is damn good. So Pandemonium is a really powerful card. Just play creatures, get burn spells. As effectively, everything is like a Flame Tongue Kavu. Does anyone know what Flame Tongue Kavu is? It was like one of the most busted creatures in Standard at the time. Probably could even see play in Modern if they just reprinted it. Enters the battlefield, deals 4 damage to target creature. Do not underestimate those type of effects. And Warstorm Surge basically turns everything into a super Flame Tongue Kavu, because you can hit the creatures, or you can hit, it's any target, so you can hit the planeswalkers, you can hit the players, do whatever you want. Oh, and by the way, if it's a commander, does it deal commander damage? Or is commander damage only in combat? Or does this count as commander damage? It was in Modern Horizons 1, I thought. No, they reprinted like a Flame Tongue like baby or something. Baby Kavu. Flame Baby Kavu, basically. Oh, it's only combat damage? Oh well. Otherwise, I guess this card would be just like completely OP. There's probably some ways of breaking this thing in a lot of ways. Jared Carthillion makes Kavu, and he is newish. Perhaps we'll get him again. Perhaps we will. All right, next super chat. We got David. David, thank you very much for the super chat. Necrotal, flavor text is cool. So you're telling me you have this card for the flavor text? Okay, black 2 generic for a 2/1 human assassin, first strike. Enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. That creature can't be regenerated. So the card itself, not very impressive. It's like, there's actually many cards that are very similar to this. His victims don't have time to feel despair. All right. If you are willing to buy this card for the flavor text, for 50 cents, that's a pretty good flavor text. Has anyone ever thought like that? I'm gonna get, it's 50 cents. I like the flavor text. It's Flame Tongue Yearling. Ah, yes. And it sees no play. Because it sucks. It's just way too crappy. Alright, Garrett with Oversold Cemetery. What does that mean? They have the bodies on top of each other? I always wonder, how does a cemetery make money? Like, the people are dead. There's like a limited amount of space in the cemetery. Like, do they really get paid so much that it pays for the cost of, like, mowing the lawn constantly? Like, I don't know, the business of cemeteries seems weird, but they're still around. Are they subsidized by the government? Like, I just don't understand it. Unless they start, like, putting different floors. And I mean, I guess you could just dig deeper. Dig deeper, stupid! We gotta keep going further down. They rent out the space to who? It's a bunch of dead people. Like, as far as I'm concerned, you know, when my grandfather died, there was some cost paid to the cemetery, but that's it. It's not like they're gonna get any more money out of it. Or, like, does it expire after a certain amount of years? Like, after 50 years, they dig up the grave and it's like, all right, this body's gonna go somewhere else. I have no idea. They make money because people are dying to get there. Ah, that's a good one. They are dying to get there, aren't they? Alright, black 1 generic. Enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature. That's good value! So if you have too many creatures in the graveyard, you just get something. Yeah, it's an oversold graveyard. Alright, don't die yet. Okay, you know, I know you dead, but you gotta come back to life because there's no space in this graveyard at the moment. You gotta wait for those corpses to properly decompose. You forget that they charge like 30k per death with the plot and the service fees. There is no way the graveyard my grandfather went to paid 30k. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I think and some people, well, I guess some people who die without money, I guess they just get cremated. Oh well, I don't know. I guess I could Google it, but I don't want to. It's more fun to just think that it's a mystery. How is this sustainable? But at the same time, people just keep dying. Moving on, we've got, Andrew. Andrew, thank you so much for your super chat. My friend put Arguel's Bloodfast in budget brews. Well, your friend will get the pleasure of knowing that you put the card on the map. Okay, we got a black 1 generic legendary enchantment. Pay a black 1 generic. Pay 2 life. Draw a card. It's a bit of a very expensive necropotence. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you may transform it's blood fast. You're fasting from blood. Temple of Aklazots. Legendary land. Tap out a black to your mana pool. Tap, sack a creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. This card does a lot, but it seems like it's risky. Like, it's basically begging you to go down to 5 or less life to then get the benefit of sacking your creatures to gain life later. Anyway, risky stuff. Next up we got Gunblade. Thank you so much, Gunblade Knight. Inspiring Overseer. Is great for cheap. White 2 generic for a 2/1 Flying Angel Cleric. When Inspiring Overseer enters the battlefield, you gain life and draw a card. I like cards like that. It's simple. It's simple card draw. It's like Silver Gill Adept, but you get a little life at the same time. And maybe that life gain triggers other things. Synergy with the life gain strategy. Coulter says, watch all these cards jump in price, making a lot of budget players redo their decks. It's possible. I've had some influence, very little influence. I've had some influence on the secondary market, not a lot. I don't know if any of these cards like skyrocketed in price. Andrew says, Andrew Thomas says, friend likes the risk. Yeah, some people like to play risky. Oh, is this a Pauper All-Star? Probably. Can block Delver of Secrets, can block a lot of the Flying Fairies, trades up. Anything with, like, draw a card on it in Pauper is just broken. It's like, it's such a one-for-one format. Nothing snowballs very well. Alright, our fellow raccoon here, Steve Cooper. Amulet Safekeeping. Free counter and token hate. Oh, don't hate on the tokens. Okay, 2 generic mana for an artifact. Whenever you become the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1, and the creature tokens get nuked at -1, -0. If you have this in your deck, I mean, you're just sending a message to your token friend, like, hey, switch up your decks, play something else. This card is pretty crappy outside of that. I think this was originally, maybe to Commander players, they're like, why does this card exist? It makes no sense. And the reason it exists is that it is a counter to Storm at the time, Modern Storm, because there were only 2 ways Modern Storm would win. One was with Grape Shot, which it deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and it would storm off. So, like, if you storm off, you better have infinite mana for each storm damage that you deal. But it also hit the alternative win condition, which was Empty the Warrens, which put 2 goblins into... It was like 4 mana, put 2 1/1 goblins in play, and had Storm. So it nailed, like, it was 2 birds with 1 stone. Anyway, it didn't end up seeing play because Storm died at that point. They were completely dead by the time this thing got printed. Poor Storm players. I have no sympathy for them because that deck was infuriating to play against. Okay, we got 1 of 1 king with the inevitable betrayal. Inevitable betrayal. What do we got here? All right, we got no casting cost for a sorcery with suspend of blue 1 generic. Wow, it's one of these suspend cards like I totally forgot even existed because it sees no play. Search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that card onto the battlefield under your control, then that player shuffles. All right, so if bribery is a little too expensive for your blood, like how much is bribery? The bribery, $12. At least $12. If you can't afford that's too much Skrilla for you, go for the inevitable betrayal. This is the budget bribery. And who cares? Like, it's still gonna get cast basically on turn 5-ish, 6, around the same curve. You're just paying for it in advance on turn 3, that's all. Hopefully that doesn't make you a target. If everyone attacks you, that means everyone has like a lethal creature they don't want you to touch, effectively. Inevitable betrayal is a free cascade spell. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, yeah, it's a cascade spell that costs 0, but you have to cascade into it. Bribery used to be like $70. Yeah, I know. Bribery isn't even any good. Like, I've played bribery a few times. It sort of sucks. And also, I used to play a little bit of one-on-one Commander online. People built their decks so that bribery was garbage. Like, I would bribery people, and there was just nothing to take. There was just nothing useful. Everything had, like, there was, like, no ETBs. Everything was, like, an attack trigger. And it was like, wow, this sucks. Anyway. You can play around bribery. It sort of feels good. The idea is good. I'm going to steal your creature, but in practice, I don't know, it wasn't quite the same. Didn't feel the same way. Johnny said, do we do patchwork automation? No. What is this thing? Patchwork auto. This is a very good card in... Is this card good in Commander? This card's very good in Modern. 2 mana for a 1/1 construct with Ward 2, so good luck. Good luck. By the way, I have so many times tried to kill this thing with something and then forget about the Ward 2. I don't know why. This is one Ward creature. I just completely keep forgetting that he even has Ward. And whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Automation. This card can get really big, really fast, very hard to kill. The Ward 2 is just miles different than Ward 1. Very, very hard to actually save up the mana to kill it. Basically, you need like 3 mana to kill it with a 1 mana spell. You need 4 mana to kill it with a 2 mana spell. Alright, next up, we've got Coulter. Thank you very much for the super chat. Froghemoth. Whatever this card is. It is a frog, I guess. It's a frog horror. Green, 3 generic for a 4/4. Trample, haste. When Froghemoth deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Froghemoth for each creature card exiled this way. You gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. So a means of getting bigger. Also graveyard hate. I don't know how important graveyard hate is in Commander. I have a feeling the spells in the hand are more important than the spells in the graveyard, but I could be wrong. This is under $1. This is, yes, there is a 50-cent version over here. If you get Adventures in the Forgotten Realms promo. So if you get it with the Planeswalker symbol, who's a fan of that Planeswalker symbol? I am not. I hate all the symbols. Anything that's on the card, I hate the serialized stuff. I wouldn't mind if the serialized stuff was right here. Look at all this empty space over here at the bottom of the holo foil. I do not like that they put the serialized thing on the art. No, I'm 2 thumbs down. I'm 2 thumbs down on that stuff. I'm not a happy camper when it came when they're putting things on the art. Leave my art alone. I want there to be more art. I want it to be full art. Don't start putting things on there. But anyway, if you want to get things cheaper, you know, buy things with the stamps. The stamps, people. Okay, what do we have next? King Ginger, thank you very much for your super chat. Strands of Night. Black, 2 generic. For a enchantment. Black, pay 2 life, sacrifice a swamp. Return target creature card from your graveyard to play. That card's actually busted. This is a very strong card. I never heard of this one. So it's just Reanimator for, like, you basically, I'll exchange this swamp for this damn creature in the graveyard. And you can do that at instant speed. You can do that at end of turn. This is instant speed reanimation. Trigger a creature from your graveyard to play. And it costs nothing. If you're playing a Reanimator deck, I think you have to have this in your deck. And in Commander, what's the 2 life? It's like worthless. It's like nothing. Expensive Reanimator? Not really. I mean, you spend maybe... I mean, you could even say... If you want to surprise your opponents, you could wait until you have 6 mana, get the Strands of Night in play first, then hold up the double black in order to immediately put something in play, but it's pretty strong. I think this is a very underrated underrated card. Kalanteres. We've got for Luminarch Aspirant. Oh yeah, this card. White, 1 generic, 1/1. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Probably a pretty underrated card for just competitive Magic. It makes things incrementally bigger. It's at least a 2/2 by itself, but by next turn, it's like you could even look at it as like it's at least a 3/3 for 2 mana, and then upside if it can live beyond that, because it's continuously putting a counter. You can put the counters all on itself. It's gonna have protection from Wrenn and 6 at the very least, because it's gonna put a counter immediately on itself. Anyway, Luminarch Aspirant. Next up, we've got... Oh, yo, little Ted, thank you very much for the super chat. Spellweaver. Volute. Spellweaver Volute. It's an aura. Enchant instant card in a graveyard. Alright, we have now entered AI territory. Whenever you play a sorcery spell, copy the enchanted instant card. You may play the copy without paying its mana cost. If you do, remove the enchanted card from the game and attach Spellweaver Volute to another instant card in a graveyard. Oh god. People, like, does this card work on Magic the Gathering Online? I can only imagine that, like, the people who coded the game or programmed Magic the Gathering Online is like, why do we have to have some exception? Why do we have to code this to enchant instants and sorceries just for this one damn card? Yeah, at least it's future sight. In the future, in the year 2050, we are enchanting, we're putting auras on our instants and sorceries. It feels very illegal. Very, very illegal. That's just bizarrely broken. Louis Goats, Mercadia's Downfall. Mercadia's Downfall is a red 2 generic instant. Attacking creatures get +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of non-basic lands defending player controls. What a weird card. They actually reprinted this card in the list. This looks like a type of card that I would just imagine is just forgotten in time. How many non-basic lands defending? So if someone has like 10 non-basic lands, this can effectively deal like 10 damage. Not good in the early game, but gonna deal a big bang in the late game. Ryan says 16 years and still no other enchant cards in graveyards. Yeah, I know. We haven't hit that part of the future. The future, people. Black Mamba. Siphon Mine. Black 3 generic sorcery. Each other player discards a card. You draw a card for each card discarded this way. I like it. It's 3 mana, draw 3. Right? I mean, it could be more, actually. Maybe that could be a show. Cards that are good in a 100-player Commander game. Because some of these cards would scale way higher if you have more people playing. It's like in a 100-player Commander game, probably like, I don't know for sure, but maybe like Extort becomes OP. Because I think you gain as much life as people lost life. And this would be incredibly dangerous. When tempers run high, it's easy to lose your head. It is easy to lose your head. All right, sweet card. Next up, we got Black Mamba is back here. Mana Gorger Hydra. Isn't this just that green thing? Does this card still not get enough love? Green 2 generic, 1/1 Hydra with trample. Whenever a player casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Mana Gorger Hydra. I'm surprised this is not like... I guess they've reprinted it a million times, hence why the price of it is so low. It's really hard to keep this card small. And it has trample. It's very castable. I use this in my Volo deck. I'm sure a lot of people use this card. Toilet Duck says, anything involving a 100-player game equals it danger for logistics. 100-player Commander game. Probably take a few days. Well, maybe not. Like, someone might just combo off on turn 2. So you go 6 players deep, someone combos off on turn 1. That's basically the end of the game. Alright, next up, we go with, Coulter. Well, thank you very much, Coulter, for your super chat. Of course, Philip Philip Phipped. The Lost has got to get some love. Is this card any good? I remember a lot of people trying to break this card, but no one really succeeded. Blue 1 generic 1/1 Homunculus. When Philip the Lost enters the battlefield, draw a card. If it entered from your library or was cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead. And when it becomes the target of a spell, shuffle Philip into its owner's library. So back you go. Back from whence you came. Keep drawing them cards, though. Blake. Oh, Blake, you just love today. Faldorn Dreadwolf. If anyone has, by the way, if anyone's figured out how to break Philip, the whole world is waiting. They're waiting with open ears. All right, green, red, 1 generic for a 3/3 human druid. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. All right, so this is like the werewolf card of all werewolf cards. Pay 1, tap, discard a card, exile the top card of your library. You can play this card this turn. I don't know what that is pretty expensive though to play the top card of your library. There's like so many other cards that will just say, just play it. Just play the top card of your library if you want to. Yeah. Pay 1, discard a card. I guess you might want the discard synergy. Maybe. It's possible. Station Disaster. Twin Furno in mono red standard. Nobody plays it, but it's OP on multiple levels. Red 1 generic instant. Choose 1. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. This card might see some usefulness in a, what's it called? A Kiln Fiend deck. Make that thing really big, because every single time you cast instants and sorceries, it gets +3/+0. Give it double strike, and maybe you can kill your opponent in one shot. Ellen Chan Gaming with Patron of the Aki. Great in my Arnie Metalbrow deck. Red 4 generic 5/5 spirit. Goblin Offering. You can play this card anytime you could play an instant by sacrificing a goblin and paying the difference in mana cost between this and the sacrificed goblin. Mana cost includes color. So Whenever patron of the Aki attacks, creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Is this a goblin card or a spirits card? You may play this card anytime you could play an instant by sacrificing a goblin. I guess it's a goblin card. You turn all your little goblins into something big. Because usually goblins are just a bunch of dinks anyway. I've seen Gorax, the Tomb Shell, for 49 cents. Gorax. Black, it's like a graveyard. Oh yeah, it's the Tomb Shell. There is a tomb on the shell. Black, 6 generic, 4/4 creature. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of creature cards from your graveyard. Spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. So it's like a Murktide, effectively. Death Touch. Whenever it attacks or dies, choose a card at random exiled with Gorax and put that card into its owner's hand. Oh my god, that's pretty good. I like that card. So it's like card advantage. And it's still a pretty big, beefy creature. And it doesn't really cost that much. I mean, you want to exile a bunch of cards from your graveyard. You may exile any number of creature cards from your graveyard. So basically, exile 3 of them. Cost 2 mana. Very, very good card. Very good value. Next up, we've got... we saw what was it called? The... Faldorn Dreadwolf? Yeah, we saw this one. So next one is Alpha Nerds Tidehollow Sculler. Why do you think this is underrated? Or sorry, not under. Well, I mean it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a black, white, 2/2 zombie. Enters a battlefield. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. When Tidehollow Sculler leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. Used to see a lot of play. Now it's just like getting a little pushed out of the format. That's all. Poor Tidehollow Sculler. Yo, little Ted, Glare of Subdual. We gotta give you some super chat. I'll give you this one. Glare of Subdual. Great with the tokens. White, green, 2 generic enchantment. Tap an untap creature you control. Tap target artifact or creature. Now that's what I'm talking about. So this is basically the opposition of green and white. Except it's worse. Because with opposition you can tap the lands. Tap an untap creature you control. Tap target artifact. That's interesting. They just printed a worse opposition. But, you know, better for the token decks. Because token decks, generally speaking, are going to be in white and green. Very, very good card. Alpha Nerd again. Ether Swarm Adjudicator. The Adjudicator, blue, 4 generic, 4/4 Vidalcan Knight, flying. Oh god, this guy does everything. Okay, you can have black, white, 1 generic, tap, destroy target creature or enchantment. Oh my god, it's Royal Assassin. It's Royal Assassin, and then blue 2 generic, untap Ether Sworn Adjudicator. Oh god. So you get to do, if you have enough mana, if you have like 6 mana up, you can basically do this over and over again. Or sorry, you need like 9 mana up. Destroy something, untap, destroy something again. Not bad at all. Okay, we got Tyler here with Thermopod. Red 4 generic, 4/3 slug. You can pay snow. It's a snow creature. Snow. Thermopod gains haste until end of turn. Sack a creature, add a red mana to your mana pool. Not a bad sack outlet. Not a bad payoff for that sack outlet. I am no one that says Rally Ancestors was crazy good in my Tesa. Isn't this like the reanimating thing? People love these cards. This is like, I don't want to, I sort of want to say this is like a totally overrated mechanic, but I know so many people love these types of cards. Like when we used to review deck lists, everyone would have something of this effect to like bring back a bunch of creatures back from the graveyard. White X instant, return each creature card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile those creatures at the beginning of the next end step. Exile Rally the Ancestors. People just love the idea of like, okay, I lost everything to a board wipe. We're bringing them back. Okay, it's time for round 2. Their revenge. Rally the Ancestors, yeah. And it's cheap. This one is very cheap. Blake Mamba. Moss Viper. What is this thing? Okay, green 1/1 snake, death touch. Honestly, I think this is a very underwhelming card, even for one man. I don't think. do not feel tempted to be buying or playing the Moss Viper. I guess it's okay. You have it out, and like no one will attack you. No one will dare do that. Who's someone I didn't get to today? LN Chan Gaming, Cephalid Face Taker. That sounds disgusting. Take my face? No, thank you. Okay, I got a blue 2 generic 1/4 Cephalid Rogue. What part of Cephalid is this? Oh, it took the face. That's right. Cephalid Face Taker can't be blocked. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have Cephalid Face Taker become a copy of another target creature until end of turn, except it's a 1/4 and has this creature can't be blocked. Becomes until end of turn, except it. Oh, so it has all the abilities, except it's a 1/4 instead, and the creature can't be blocked. Okay, so I was like, what's the point? It's like, are you just copying the image? So you're literally just taking its face and then that's it? And it's over? Okay, we'll end it on Sergio's. Sergio is trying to get Legion's End in here. Legion's End! Black 1 generic. Exile! Target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 2 or less, and all other creatures that player controls with the same name as that creature. Then that player reveals their hand and exiles all cards with that name from their hand and graveyard. Did I miss your last super chat? Do we have one more super chat left? Oh, I didn't miss it. You snuck that one in there at the end. That's all. Storm King's Thunder. You try to be a little sneaky. You try to sneak it up. Okay, we got red X instant. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. What are you going to copy? Are you going to like Storm King's Thunder for 10 and then just play Lightning Bolt? Oh, well. All right, well, that's it for Coffee and MTG today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you want to be part of the show, you got to be here Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Oh, by the way, if you got other budget cards that are 50 cents or less, share them with us in the comments section below. Thank you very much for the supporters, everyone who is a member of the channel, also a patron on Patreon, or anyone who is super chatting for the show. Because of your support, I will be here every morning for all of you. And most importantly, we got to thank everyone for being here in the morning. People like Abzo, Bulky. We got Bulky, we got Toads, we got Garrett, Name, Mr. Deadhead, Jonathan, King Ginger, Garrett. We got Rot Boy. Always a bigger fish. Jonathan. Who else do we have here? Void Layer, Station, Yo Little Ted, and Erland, because without you guys, I'd have no show. So, as usual, my coffee crew, keep bringing up them coffees while they're still available, and we'll keep bringing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you at the next cup.